going to say the same thing I always say.
What?
We're back.
You said it.
Well, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I just said it. And it's in a song.
Oh, I don't know.
I didn't mean it. I just said it.
Never heard that.
I want to start off by revealing our studio and thanking them profusely for their beautiful accommodations, some of which we've shared pictures of. You want to share where we are?
Sure. We are in Studio 31 at the Harbor Fields Public Library.
Studio 31. I think that must be their address.
Yeah, I can never remember that number. I don't know why.
I don't know. I do, though. Didn't you say that's as many flavors as Baskin?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
31 flavors.
Yeah. So remember like that.
Okay.
All right. But yes, we love it. It's a beautiful studio, and we're so grateful. Thank you. It's an amazing place to be.
Yeah, it's a really nice library, too.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. Okay, so we are going to do our episode 10. Wow, 10.
Good times.
Good time. Okay. Before we launch into the regular segment, I have a WTAF. Remember what that is?
What the actual fuck?
There you go. Okay, and this really you will be saying this to yourself.
Nice.
When I tell you this story. Okay. So it's about a guy named Richard Herron and a woman named, they're young, but I think he was like 22, and I'm making that up. I don't know how old he was, but she was 20. Bonnie Garland and Richard Herron, and they met at Yale. They were both students there. But he had grown up in a poor East LA neighborhood, and he was kind of a hero of the neighborhood when he got into Yale in 1971. She was a legacy. Her father had graduated. I think he was valedictorian, actually. So they met. They actually had a cute way that they met. They met at, they used to have some sort of pudding festival. I'm not sure. I don't know what it is. They had some sort of a fun thing that they did, like to go along with homecoming, and they sort of like instantly fell in love. But this is the problem with falling in love. It may not be in your best interest long term.
Yeah.
And it might not be love. It might just be like, that chemistry thing that thing that still not in your best interest. And so this, of course, does not have a happy ending, because why would I be telling you? Why would I tell you a happy story? They first did very well together, but maybe a year later, she was kind of over it already.
Yeah.
He, although was at Yale, he was not taking his studies seriously. He was brilliant, but he was not taking his studies seriously. He was taking geology, and he was kind of making fun of it, like just geology. But he was barely passing, really. And he waited to do his thesis until like the last minute. Like he did graduate, but was under the wire. She was also having trouble. Like he was graduating, like he was a senior when she came in, I believe, something like that. So she was having a lot of trouble, especially, you get involved with somebody, you're all smitten, you're doing that stuff. And he wanted her to go into the accelerated program so she would graduate faster so they could get married. She was having trouble just doing the regular work. So but unfortunately, he pushed her into things. So she was really like, the strain was getting to her, and she realized like, it wasn't really a healthy relationship. He was really bossing her around. He was, it was kind of, he had a heavy control thing going on.
Yeah.
And she actually met somebody else that she kind of liked. And when she went away for the summer to Europe, like with the choir. She was in the choir, and she met another guy during the choir, and she really liked him. Like, it was her side boyfriend. Because like he was nicer, like he wasn't treating her. She realized it was with Richard. It was really her first serious relationship, and she realized, it doesn't have to be like that. But Richard had to stay back and do his thesis. But he found out from another girl. She kind of hinted unwittingly that Bonnie had been with somebody else. He's like, you have to watch her when I'm not there. Like, really? But I don't think she did. But he kind of got the idea something was going on, so he kind of doubled down on that. Well, she had enough, and the next time she was away, she wrote him a letter and said that she's seeing someone else. It's over. So do you think he let it go?
I'm guessing not, or he wouldn't be talking about it.
Well, the guy that she was dating, this was actually a second guy. The other guy, they they weren't serious, but she realized that she could have a nice it was possible to have a nice relationship. But this other guy she really was into, and she brought him home to the house where she had previously brought Richard. And Richard, the parents didn't like Richard at all, because Richard's one of those guys that constantly, like, he can't be part of it. Like, he just remains aloof, and he's critical and this and that. Like, why would you want this in your house? You want to impress somebody's parents, you know? I mean, he wasn't even trying. It wasn't like he was disingenuous. He just like was critical and aloof. Like, who needs that, right? So they really didn't like him at all. And so when she brought home the other guy, they liked him. They like, okay, he's cool. But unfortunately, Richard appeared on their doorstep. Now, she was out with her father and the new boyfriend, and Richard was like, I want to talk to Bonnie. She's like, well, she's not here. She went out. And he goes, well, I'll stay. She goes, look, another young gentleman is staying here. She's like, he's like, oh my God, I know, I love her so much, please. And she did feel really badly for him, so she let him come in.
Oh, no.
So when they got back, it was very awkward, obviously, with the other guy there. But then the other guy had to go home. Like, he had to have, he was leaving. So somehow Richard finagled to stay there. They weren't together. They were like, well, I don't think their daughter was allowed to sleep with the guy in the room. So they would have been in separate bedrooms anyway. But he was like trying to convince her to take him back. She's like, I want to see other people. So in other words, she was sort of taking him back, but not the way he wanted. So she went to bed. It was on July 6th, 1977. And she thought that he understood, but he didn't. And she didn't really want to be with him at all. But so for her, this was a big compromise to even see him at all. But he was up and thinking, and he decided this is what he was going to do. Rather than have to share her, he would kill her and then himself. Seems logical, right?
There you go.
Yeah, there's a great plan. Funny how people kill somebody and then somehow they don't kill themselves after that. Let's see if that happens here. I have a sneaking suspicion it will. So he went downstairs and he got into the basement and he found a hammer. And then he wrapped it in a towel to conceal it, even though everybody was sleeping. He went up the 3 flights of stairs to her room, and he put it down in the hall. I don't know why I'm laughing, but like, what was going through this guy's head? He put it in the hallway, and he had to make sure she was asleep before he attacked. Like, what does that mean? Is he trying to be kinder?
I don't know.
But she was asleep, and he went and got it, and he used the claw end of the hammer to smash her skull.
Oh, God.
Yeah. They said a lot of great. It was really bad.
Yeah, you don't need to give
She was
details.
unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Okay. So then he was like, oh, what do I do now? Like, oh, what do I do now that I just murdered my girlfriend, right? So he stole the family car and rode around for hours, and he wound up 100 miles away. This was in Scarsdale, New York. Also New York, where we live, where all the fun things happen. But we don't live in Scarsdale, but it's not that far, like an hour away maybe. It's north of New York City. So anyway, he wound up in a town called Coxsackie, which everybody wants to go. That's like the place to go, Coxsackie.
I would not like living. It's a terrible name.
For many reasons. Things are conjuring in my head. So he went to a church and told the priest, I just killed my girlfriend. And I think he was looking for absolution, but the priest called the police.
Damn right.
Because he wasn't. I wonder but when you confess, I think they're still supposed to turn you in when it's a crime. Is that right?
I would hope so.
I'm not sure about that rule. So I don't know. But I think they might. I don't know.
I have no idea.
I think maybe if they threaten to kill someone, they have to say it. But if someone's already dead, maybe they don't have to say it. I really don't know. But you'll have to check into that if you want to know. So the priest called the police, and he called the Scarsdale police. I don't think he even called the police that in Coxsackie. And they went to the parents' house, and the poor mother opened the door. She didn't know. It was already like everybody was, not everybody, but the husband had already gone to work. He didn't. They just thought she was sleeping, right?
Right.
And the mother was there. She answered the door. And when she went in that room and saw her daughter, can you imagine?
No, my God.
Oh, my God. But she was still alive at that point. I don't know how.
Really?
Because she was all smashed. Like, it was bad, okay? Her larynx, everything. Like, brain matter was around. Like, they took her to the hospital to try to save her. But she ultimately, the operations failed. And honestly, I think at that point it would have been better because I don't think she would have been a shell of herself. Like, you know what I mean? I don't, you know, probably, I mean, this is awful. What this asshole does this, right? Just because he doesn't want her to see other people. But then he whisses out when he goes to kill himself. Why don't you just kill yourself and save the world from you, jackass?
Right. But
It makes me sick that this guy had this great plan. Oh, I love her. We'll be together. Like she's going to be with you in eternity anyway after you did this. But I don't know what's going on. This guy's crazy, right? Obsessed. Insane. So he didn't kill himself and he got arrested. Okay.
Good.
But she's gone. Her life is over. Okay. So normally in cases like this, people feel bad for the victim. But the members of Yale, both Yale and the Catholic communities, rallied around the guy.
Get the fuck out of here.
Because of his poor upbringing. Like, first of all, this girl also went to Yale, right? Her father went to Yale, but Yale chose to support him. Yale started fundraising for him, and also Catholic community started fundraising for him separately. And they convinced the judge to give him bail. He wasn't going to give him bail.
That's crazy.
And then so a woman that never even met him, I think she's part of the Yale community, she put up her house so he could get out on bail. Everybody felt bad for this guy. And it's awful. It's awful. And they wrote letters attesting to his good character. Okay? And then so the judge let him out. And he went to go stay with the Christian Brothers in Albany. I guess that's like some sort of a church, whatever thing. I don't know what's going on there. Christian Brothers. It sounds like a bakery or something. Or maybe like a ravioli place. And so this is so nice for him. While he was awaiting trial, he attended classes at the State University of New York under an alias. Everybody was just conspiring to give this guy a great life. Okay? And the poor Bonnie was completely blamed. They said he had been triggered when Bonnie hung up on him years back. How dare she hang up on him? Because when he was constantly harassing her, he didn't want to ever let her go. He was always on her tail. So she hung up on him. Well, this was the thing. And then he snapped when she said she wanted to see other people. It's all her fault. Can you imagine?
That is unbelievable. And those poor parents.
Oh, and also the father was an alumni. He was like, fuck you, Yale. How could you defend the guy that killed my daughter, who also was this, nobody cares about her. She was equally a student. Oh, sorry, she wasn't from the poor community. It had nothing to do, where you came from has nothing to do with the crime you've committed. Mm-hmm. Nothing. So listen to what these Christians, the Christian Brothers and Yale people were saying. This is disgusting, okay? They said that what Richard had done was a lesser crime than children going to bed at night hungry. I don't see that. They said that prison was inhumane. You know what's inhumane? Bludgeoning somebody to death
with a hammer, right?
With a hammer. Somehow the claw makes it worse.
Yes.
They said that Bonnie was already gone and ruining Richard's life would not bring her back. Why not allow this bright young man to do something good with his life?
Wow.
They said a certain amount of grief was understandable, but Bonnie's parents needed to get over it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Nice, right? Having unfortunately experienced the loss of my child, you're never going to get over it. It's forever. It's despicable. And for someone to say that, no one's ever said that to me. If they said that to me, I would probably kill them.
I don't understand. You could see one person saying it, one crazy person.
No, right, it was all.
But when it's a group of people and they all think in that disturbing way.
Yale is an Ivy League school. They're well educated. It's supposed to be one of those places where you would think they would defend the person that was murdered. Instead, they're attacking her. And then, now remember, he thought, I'm going to kill her, right? And himself. That part he somehow skipped over. But he thought, I'm going to kill her. That's premeditation.
Of course.
He went and got the hammer. That's premeditation. Mm-hmm. He climbed up the stairs. That's premeditation. They charged him only with second-degree murder, not first-degree.
That's unbelievable.
Oh, but guess what? They also had the opportunity to convict him of manslaughter, and that's what they chose, manslaughter. Manslaughter is an accident.
Wow.
So he was only sentenced. I think he got the maximum penalty is 25 years, and he only served 17 years in state prison. He was like 40 when he got out, right? And he was released on January 12th, 1995. Oh, and guess what? In 1997, Richard Herron was hired to run a safe community agency in New Mexico.
Of course he was.
So then someone was like, why is a murderer our safety officer? And I think eventually they realized and fired him. But the fact that he was even hired, does anybody check anybody? Like, no? Like, what?
No.
I mean, this is what it's like. So the irony is palpable, you know? I mean, I'm so disgusted by this guy. So the parents got a civil judgment against him for pain and suffering and funeral costs. But you remember what I go through with New York State, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, New York State Court of Appeals overturned the pain and suffering because New York State is one of 2 states who don't have a grieving families law which allows compensation for pain and suffering. People are only worth what they earned when they died, and she was a student. That is exactly what's happening to me with Casey. I can't sue for wrongful. I can't tell you. I can't go into the details because I'm trying to get justice for him in some way. But I'm not allowed to file a lawsuit either because it was only for what he was earning when he died, and he was 23. So, lovely New York governor, that woman. Ooh. Okay, so Paul Garfield, the dead girl's father, told the Associated Press when he learned that Herron's parole was imminent, he said, he should be serving a life sentence. He'll have his whole life ahead of him when he gets out. It isn't right. It isn't fair. We're serving the life sentence, him and his family. And it's true. So is that not what the actual fuck?
Yeah, really.
I mean, like, and you know, I hear so many of these stories in the court system. It really depends on where you get arrested. Like, I love the show The Practice. I love law stuff, but that's my favorite. And they practice in Boston. And in Boston, if you can get convicted of second degree, it's life sentence anyway. They're rough. Do not commit murder in Boston. I guess Massachusetts, the whole state. But they were in Boston. It's so funny. I know laws from certain places because of TV and stuff like that. Okay. So now to the main part. This is our 10th episode. And I was thinking about topics for upcoming episodes. And I kept I'm like, wow, these are so dark, these things. And I had a creative crisis, which I was like, did we give the show the wrong name? Because we talk about such stark things. And I was like, oh my God, are we being amusing at all here? What are we talking about? What are we doing? So I thought about it, and then I remembered, life is dark.
Yes.
And the aim of this show is not to make light of life, but to add light to life's darkness.
Oh, I like that.
Thank you. We, people, are our own light. We can choose to shine it or extinguish it. In this podcast, we shine our lights into life's darkest crevices, and our intent is to help you shine yours too. We can't play pretend it never happened because bad things happen again and again. By speaking about life's tragedies and injustices, we can acknowledge the unfairness of life, but also help each other navigate through our confusion and sorrow and find happiness and peace.
Nice.
See? That's what I wrote on the back of an envelope when I have all these notebooks, but I always write, when I get the inspiration, I just scroll it on something. I wrote it around the edges. I had to turn it around and around. I'm like, oh, damn. But I kind of like it. Grammarly didn't even try to fix this one.
Oh, no.
Nice, right? They got Joseph Conrad on the last one. He could have tightened that. Okay, so now I also want to share a poem I think we talked about previously on the first episode. We talked about that when we're thinking about something, all of a sudden we find another example of it. So I was thinking about all this, and I went on Facebook, and I joined, there's a poet, Mary Oliver. Do you know her?
No.
I really didn't know her either. I think she must write a lot about grief because I was in a grief support group, and they had shared at least one poem by her. I saw an opportunity to join, in Facebook Mary Oliver group, and it was a really nice poem that I saw. So I'm like, all right, I'll join it. So then today, this popped up just after I typed this, and it's called "Don't Hesitate." If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give in to it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise and not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instance when love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb. That's sort of what I said in a different way.
Yeah.
A beautiful way. I think this is lovely. And a lot of times you could be grieving and you're like, I cannot allow myself to be happy because I'm grieving. You could be upset about the state of the world, and we all are. And we're like, how can I even be happy when all these people are suffering in, you name it, right? There's like zillions of people suffering all over the place, right? And there's some that come to mind, but there's places we don't even know about the people are suffering.
Yeah.
Because interestingly, they only talk about some places, and there's, I think, 13 genocides going on right now, okay? But we can't change that stuff. We're in charge of our own lives, and we didn't do these things, and we have to find our way to crawl out of that rubble or be suffocated in it.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here, and we're not going to like act like nothing's wrong, because there's a lot wrong, but we're going to talk about it honestly. And honestly, I would love you. I said honestly twice. Jeez. And when you say honestly, are you really being honest? But I really would enjoy feedback from people, whether it's an email or we're now on Instagram. And so I think I put 2 things so far. But hey, follow us on Instagram, Life and Jest Podcast. And then we have the Facebook community, the Life and Jest Facebook Life and Jest community.
I have no idea.
You'll find it if you look for Life and Jest. We both would love your feedback, and tell us what you'd like us to talk about. Or if you want to add your own comments on what we've talked about, we'll share it. We'd love that. We would love to do, I know some podcasts do like reader feedback episodes, or just things from listeners.
Listeners.
I'm a writer, remember? So please let us know. We want to know what moves you, what you want to hear about, or what you feel about what we've said. And we can take criticism, but try not to criticize us.
No, fuck that.
We're a little fragile. We are. Okay. Now I want to talk about, did you see my email?
Yes.
Okay. This one is a trickier quote, okay? Shakespeare wrote, "There is nothing good or bad when thinking makes it so." This is a tough one. Mm-hmm. I can embrace it as a writer and intellectually, as long as it's not the emotional aspect. The emotional aspect of me like wants to reject this completely, because it's like, what are you talking about? How can any of these things that happen to me possibly be anything but bad? So I'd like your thoughts.
I had to think about it. I agree and I disagree. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's that black and white, because there's certain things, that you can turn into a positive. When something bad happens in your life, sometimes it kind of leads to something good, or you can put a positive spin on it. But there's some stuff that's just so fucked up.
I know.
And how is that not bad?
I know. There's so many things just happening in the world right now that we could point to. Yeah.
I mean, really horrible things happen to people.
Yeah.
And how are these people supposed to get beyond it? I mean,
when something's happening in the moment, that's not the time to reflect on it.
No, and it gets better with time. Everything gets better with time, but you don't forget it. It still weighs on you. You learn to live with it.
But do you think some of the things that happen are a lesson?
I used to think that. I don't think that anymore.
Well, I knew this quote long before all the things happened to me. And I definitely looked at it in a different way before these things happened. When things happen, I don't know if it's possible to separate your emotions, because I think our emotions really dominate us more than our intellect. I mean, we really are animals, right? And like animals act on emotion and instinct. Like they're not thinking things out. And I think that our instinct is as an animal to really emote. I actually think it's better to emote than not to emote, because otherwise you'd be a sociopath anyway. But it would be nice if I had the ability to completely turn, like some people can compartmentalize really well. I see things all together. I see like how everything goes together. So it's the opposite of compartmentalizing. But I will say the first bad thing that happened to me was Hurricane Sandy, and it was pretty friggin' awful. Hello, there is climate change, just so you know, because we never got hit by a storm before, like never.
No,
and then all of a
look at
sudden
what's
it came.
happening. I
Look
mean,
what's happening now. Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable.
these giant storms. I mean, they're
Ask people in
insane.
Asheville if there's climate change. Yeah, they never got hit before. They're not even near the water.
And like where you live, where I used to live, there was never flooding in most of those places. I mean, even with really bad storms, sure, a couple of places flooded a little bit.
Not like that.
Not like this.
I mean, it wiped out everything.
Yes.
This is all man done stuff. So, in a way, it's more explainable. I don't think that God did that, because I think it was us that did that. Not me, not you or I, but like man did the changes to cause this to happen. I do think that God could try to help people a little bit. I think that he's doing tough love on that aspect, and it's mean.
Well, listen.
Because we can't change it. We're not the ones that deserve the tough love, because we didn't do anything. I always recycled. I pick up, like, I find so much garbage in the water in front of my house, like, because I live on the water.
Yeah.
Oh my God, people litter so much. I mean, that's just a part of the whole problem. It's not even the corporations with all their garbage. That's the real problem with the people with all the money. But still, why would you throw your garbage into the water? Why would you do that?
That makes me insane when people just throw their garbage wherever.
It all floats up. It all floats up, and I have to clean. It takes the whole day to clean up the whole area, and then it happens again. But I don't want it in front of my house or anywhere.
You know, I love David Sedaris, right? He's a writer. So he walks miles and miles each day, and he started picking up trash.
Oh, does he have a stick?
He got himself a stick.
I've seen that.
Bags.
That's awesome.
But it never ends.
I know.
It never ends because people are disgusting.
I never throw anything. But how could you do that?
I don't know. I don't do it.
Just use a garbage.
Right.
It's simple.
Or hold on to it until you find a garbage. You know what's the worst? When you see a garbage and people throw garbage around it.
All the time.
Like, what's wrong with you?
I know. I saw a kid make a sample. You know, they give out the little samples of cheese and stuff in the supermarket. And she took a bite and she spit it onto the floor.
Ew.
Yeah. And her parents were right there. Nobody said anything. I wasn't going to say anything. You don't know what people are going to do, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, you do. If my child did that, I would definitely make them pick it up.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
would give them a
I would be mortified if my
yeah.
child did that.
Oh my God, once my kids got into like a tussle in Trader Joe's and they knocked down a whole display.
Oh, boy. Oh, my goodness.
We like, we'll fix it. They were like, no, we'll rebuild it.
Yes. Well,
But we owned up to it. We didn't try to run away.
Of course.
They were very, very embarrassed. You know, they were like, oh my God, they felt so bad. You know, it wasn't like they were playing around a little.
Yeah.
But you can't do that around the display.
Oh, boy.
They were more upset than anybody. So, but this kid just spit it out, and then she threw the little toothpick down too.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's not even just being rude. We live here. It's like everybody's Bigfoot from Howard Stern. He's one of the whack pack. Oh my God. He's got the most disgusting things in his house everywhere. And he's like, I don't know how that got there. It's been there for months.
It is.
Like defecation on his towels.
Oh, God. Oh, let's not even get into it. It's so gross.
But I feel like people act like him in like a smaller way, but still, it's the same. You're treating the earth like a dump.
Yeah. Stop being disgusting.
Yeah, well, I don't know what people do this. Probably our people aren't even doing it. We're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
You know. That moment in my life was monumental. I mean, my whole town was destroyed. Poor Casey was there, not at my house. He was at my ex-husband's house, which was in the center of town. I never thought the water would go there, and they had to go upstairs.
Yeah.
The whole first floor of that apartment was destroyed. Poor kid was terrified. I wouldn't have let. I thought he was safe there. You know.
Right, because that had never, where they lived, never flooded.
Never. It was the center of town.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everything got destroyed, and the power plant blew up. I was in Uniondale and I saw the puff of green. Okay.
Yeah.
And we didn't have electricity for a long time. Well, my boyfriend got a generator at some point, but it was every man for himself for months there.
Oh, yeah. I didn't have electricity either. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people, like I worked at a library.
Yeah.
And people would come there to charge, to watch the news.
Right.
To get
we
warm.
did that. I went to a library. Anytime I needed to use the internet, I went to the library in Rockville Center. It was the closest.
Libraries were really popular.
Yes. And also, they were also good in COVID because they actually stayed open. When they were open, you could still use the bathroom.
Well, yes, and they also had pickup. Like you could pick up your books, you could order and pick up.
But a lot of restaurants stopped letting you use the bathroom.
Yeah, because who knew?
But the library, well, still. I mean, we're wearing masks and stuff.
I know. But that's why libraries are amazing.
They are.
They really help the community.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm a big library person. I work at a library.
I am too, because I write books. I mean, I love where they keep my books.
Yes. And they provide so many services to people, you know, that you never think of.
Libraries are definitely the good guys.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, they are. Libraries and teachers, those are my peeps. Those are my peeps, absolutely. Oh, and bookstores, of course, too.
Yes.
Independent bookstores, yeah. But any way someone reads a book, it's fine with me as long as they read it.
Yes.
You know, although I do need to make money. But the library buys the book, so that's cool. Very cool. So all that to say that was the first thing, and I guess you could say it was man done, but I still think it's cruel. It reminds me of Noah's Ark, the story of Noah's Ark. That story always got to me because he took two. Did I tell you this already in this podcast?
I don't know if it was on here or we discussed it personally.
I bring this up often, but I don't think I talked about it here. But the idea that he rounded up 2 of everything. What about all the other animals? They just died. They didn't do anything. He killed everybody in the place. All the children died. They were innocents. And all those other animals, 2 of everything to start over, but you kill it. And that's okay to kill everything? What is that?
By the way, you couldn't have all those animals on the same boat.
Listen.
That couldn't happen.
So I read the funniest thing on Facebook. I forgot exactly word for word, but it was like a lion that was given like, oh, that cruise sucked. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. Buffet was good though.
Well, that's what would happen.
Seriously. I don't know what made somebody write all this stuff down, but say it happened. God was mean. That's cruel to kill all the innocents, and I will never be okay with that. And that's what happened with Sandy, with so many animals, horrible stories about people. I mean, what about that other hurricane?
Hurricane Katrina.
Oh my God. You really don't get the full understanding of a hurricane until you've been in it.
I don't remember what the hurricane was called, but the one that affected Puerto Rico.
Yes,
that was crazy.
Oh my God, there's so many. Like it's all this global warming they're constantly happening. I mean, it never happened like this before. And places are being affected that never got affected before. And by the way, there was supposed to be funding to rebuild my area. I mean, I paid for my own house to be redone. That's a whole other story. But there was supposed to be things done by the government for bulkheads. Nothing got done.
No,
nothing. So there. But anyway, the money was raised, and where did it go? I have no idea. Somebody's got some money in their pockets. I tell you, they had that whole Robin Hood fundraiser. I don't know one person that got money from that. All the celebrities did that. I never met, and I talked to a lot of people. I went on Facebook. I went on all kinds. It's not like I just asked locally. I don't know one person that ever got any money from Robin Hood. Well, if you ever want to donate to a disaster thing, be careful who you donate to.
Yeah, definitely.
I would go directly to the neighborhood, like a church, a local church, or like something. It doesn't have to be a church, but churches did help us, like for sure.
Well,
but like local things.
There's a church right next to where I work, and the pastor there would collect money, and then he would go to Haiti.
Oh, wow.
And give it directly to the people.
That's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. Yeah.
A lot of times you send money and it never gets to them.
No. It's terrible. And the things that work are like people would come and bring us food. Like There were people like angels. There were definitely angels, but then there were people that were despicable and like looted, and money was never given to us. That was donated. So, and don't give to the Red Cross either. They suck. Okay, they suck. I'll talk about that at another time. But they don't give to them. Don't come after me either, Red Cross. I've had enough out of you. They give a little blanket. You couldn't fit a chihuahua in the blanket, okay? I used it to lay out on the beds and dry out my pictures because you couldn't, these blankets were useless. The food, it was out of a Dickens novel. Gruel. No. It was gruel, okay? What kind of slop are you giving me? Disgusting. Salvation Army was very nice. They actually gave us gift certificates to get stuff from their places. They gave us mattresses and stuff. The Salvation Army was very nice. But you really want to go local and try to help people directly.
Yeah.
So, freaking Red Cross. Oh my God. 7-Elevens came with a truck. It was cold. We had no homes. Like, it was like right before Halloween. Okay. And thank God I took Casey and his friends into the city the weekend right before it hit. And thank God they went to a haunted house and everything because that's the last fun they had for a very long time.
Yeah.
They didn't have a Halloween. They had nothing. But so that was good. And my son Michael met me. He was dressed as Mitt Romney. That's who was running.
That.
You know, he kind of looks like Mitt Romney.
I could see it.
Yeah. Anyway, the whole point of it is that 7-Eleven, you would think they would serve coffee because they're known for their coffee. You know what they served? Slurpees. Because everybody wants a Slurpee when they're freezing with no clothes.
Slurpees are gross.
And the Tide truck came. Remember, you've seen that in commercials? Yeah. Oh, they roll in there for a few days, maybe a week at the most. But none of us could get it together to bring, like, if you found, your clothes were like scattered in the wind, like, you know what I mean? It was just a mess. They do it for promotional stuff to make a commercial. They don't actually care. One load of laundry, thanks.
Yeah,
it's like
really.
spitting in the wind, you know, like it's like really learn a lot about humanity when disaster strikes and it's not a good look. Okay, It's not a good look. Although I will say there were some lovely people. And you really learn, it's the people you don't expect that actually are nice. It's weird. But any case, all that to say, that was just the first bad thing. Then my boyfriend died, and it was very sudden. He got the flu shot when he had high blood pressure already, and I would say try not to do that. And he died of a stroke and a brain bleed. There's a whole lot to that story. I should write a book about that stuff. That would be interesting, I think. But then the ultimate blow, that quote from Shakespeare, how can it possibly be good when you lose your child?
That's what I'm saying. How do you find anything good in that?
Well,
how do you make that any kind of positive?
I think it depends on what plane you consider it. Okay. And you know, it's like fighting different levels of energy and within me. That's all. Like, it's really weird. I mean, I think I'm doing pretty well.
I think
it
so,
happened January 13th, 2023. So it'll be 2 years in January. Oh my God. What happened was, I'm not going to say what happened. Again, I'm looking for justice. But when it happened, I'm friends with several people who have psychic abilities. And I know they do because, like, I've seen it demonstrated. I don't pay them. You know, I just know it. Okay. So you'll have to believe me on this one because I'm not going to go into their backgrounds or much about them, but they're psychics. So, of course, I called all of them when this happened. I called one from the hospital, and I was like, and she knew what had happened, what went wrong, and what happened to him. And, like, she said it to me, and then it was confirmed that it did happen like that. So she was, and I called another one, and she said the usual kind of stuff that you want to believe, but you don't know if you do. Oh, don't worry, you know, his grandmas came down and this and that, you know. But no, you know, you want to believe that, but you hear that from everybody, so it sounded kind of trite, you know. So hopefully it was true. I mean, I definitely saw, like, we saw an orb back at the. I was staying with my ex-husband back at the house there. We saw an orb that went by the dog, and it was obviously him. You know, we all saw it. So, you know, there's something happening on a different plane, and one of them told me. One of them told me that it had been a soul contract while he died. And a soul contract is a spiritual agreement with another soul to undergo a particular mutual experience for soul growth. This is a definition I got from Google. Imagine it as the terms and conditions for your incarnation in which you will have experiences with other souls. And she told me that Casey agreed to die at 23 before he was born in order to teach me something, to make me grow, which pissed me off. Like, you want to teach me something, just tell me. I don't need my kid to die. And so I know that we get reincarnated. Like, the same person told me that I knew her in the American Revolution, and that makes so much sense, because why am I so drawn to the American Revolution? I'm like so into it, and it's,
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm a pacifist, so why am I interested in writing about these people? I was there. It makes total sense, right? And again, she's proven herself to me. She knows what she's talking about. And she said, I've been around. She said, for all these bad things to happen to me, I've got to be a real spiritual badass. Like, because it's like I'm at my final lessons. Like, but why does anybody need these fucking lessons? And also, when we're reborn, if we come back and back and back, why don't we remember what we already learned? Because that would help, okay? Because you have to learn you make the same mistakes, you dumb shit in different ways. But when you're a kid, you don't even know. What if we knew? Then we could just learn the rest of what we need to learn. It'd be so much easier. This is like a freaking game. It's like a Mad Libs, fill in the blanks. Like, what is God doing to us? I say God, again, for whatever the higher power is. I definitely believe in the higher power. But he led me to him only to, stab me. So I don't know what he's up to. So in a way it's helpful, in a way it's not, right? Because I know he's with me. I get a million signs from him. Right after it happened, I went to my dock, and there was a swan, and the swan went under the dock. You know how their wings go into the shape of a heart, but when they're mad usually, right? So it went under the dock and just left the heart sticking out, and I knew it was him. There's a lot of things that happen. I kept track of them for a very long time, but I'm so used to things that I don't even write them down anymore because they happen so often.
Yeah.
And I learned how to communicate with him with those divining rods. I think I mentioned in the last episode, they're dowsing rods. People used to use them. I guess they still do for finding water, but they're also used for contacting souls. And I use them. You've seen me do it, and you know it works. And when I figured out how to do a video, podcast, like whatever they call it on YouTube, I will demonstrate it. And I've shown a lot of people, and it's not a trick. I mean, I have no reason to do this. I'm not trying to make a career on it or anything. And it is, if I didn't have that, I think I would have killed myself, honestly. But I do also know that the same friend told me, like, you can't kill, many people have told me, spiritual kind of people, you can't kill yourself because you don't get punished, but you go to a different place. So, people that kill themselves, they're not being punished at all, but they just have to learn. So I wouldn't be able to go with him at that moment. So, which is the reason why I would kill myself to be with him. So I can't do that. So all this to say that quote, thinking so is so different. Like, again, it's the emotions, it's a separation of everything. I mean, if you think of our lives, it's just a blip, right? I mean, if we're we're only here for such a short time compared to the whole thing, right? Yeah. So I'll tell you one thing. She said I have a choice to not come back, and I'm not coming back here again. I'm over it. I'm over it. And again, I talked about it in another episode about Everything Everywhere All at Once. And Casey said he watched it, and that made him understand things. And I really do think it's like that, but it's hard to also, the movie had weird stuff in it. That's hot dog fingers. But I guess it's to show you that everything's ridiculous in a way, like everything. Like, I loved when the mother and the daughter were both rocks and they were just so happy to be together. Yeah. That's my favorite part of the whole thing. That's when I want to be, like a rock with Casey. Yeah. Then I'll be happy, and just hang out with him. That's all I want. But I will say Casey did know, he knew he was going to die. Like, he started telling me, Mom, because I guess I must have told him years before, if anything happens to you, I'll kill myself. And he was saying, like, Mom, you can't kill yourself. You have to take care of Bean, his dog. Like, constantly say, and I had a feeling of dread, like, that came over me. So I guess I knew it too. Like, I guess we did make that agreement in some way or another, because I felt hard, and I was so worried about him, and I didn't really have a good reason for it. It was just, but I just so concerned. Okay, and when we went to the hospital, a totally separate issue, a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks before this happened. And it turned out he had COVID, but I knew he needed a chest. I thought he needed a chest X-ray. That's why I brought him there rather than urgent care. And we were in the triage room, And she said, has he been here before? Because he doesn't like to talk to people. I was telling them. And I said, yeah, he was born here. And inside my head, a voice said, and died here. Fucking creepy, right?
Yeah.
So what did I do? I wiped that shit right out of my mind. And I blame myself. Why did I let him go back to South Nassau? Why did I let him, I should not have. But you want to wipe that right out of your head. It's so interesting. I remember the last time Joan Rivers was on Howard Stern. Something came up about death. And she said, fat, and wanted it out of her head immediately.
Yeah.
She died not long after.
Yeah.
So it's weird how things come up, okay? And I don't know. So I don't know what to say about any of this. I'm doing really well, and I am able. You see, I have a good time here. I gravitate toward what makes me happy. Told myself I was only going to do things that I needed. Well, obviously you have to pay taxes. Well, I don't really want to pay taxes, but I take care of myself. But I really try to eliminate anything unpleasant as much as I can. I'm here, so I want it to be the best possible experience. But I still don't know about that quote. I'd love for people to say what they think about it. It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
But
like I said, I think a lot of things are just terrible, and they're just awful. So,
well, do you think that if any things that have happened to you, do you feel like there was something to learn out of them? Or
yeah, definitely. I mean, let's see if I have an example that I can actually talk about.
do you want to share? You did share something in your. They're not fun. The sad facts. Remember, we didn't actually share them, but you did say it. You did write. You were going to share it.
I was?
Yeah.
Do you want to remind me of what that is?
Well, I assume you were going to say it because you were going to say it in the things.
Was it? I don't know.
When you were young.
Yeah.
The saddest thing that ever happened to you.
Oh, my mother died?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It was awful. It was fucking awful.
Right. And sudden, right?
Very sudden.
Yeah.
And, I was 17. I did not handle that well. So to me, there was no positive spin to that.
So
There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing anybody could ever say to me that could convince me that anything good came out of that.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
It's like, what is that the butterfly effect?
I don't remember that movie.
So basically, it's like
one thing happens.
And it's like, I guess, dominoes, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of crazy stuff came from that.
Well, what do you think? Do you think they were meant to happen?
I don't know. I feel like things would have gotten very differently the other way.
Yeah, I know. It is really hard. How could you say that thinking makes it so? It is bad. It's bad. It's only bad that you lost your mother. I don't get it. Yeah, it's very, very hard to think about this.
Yeah, but then I've also had bad things happen to me that turned out very positive, that I couldn't see the positive part of it.
Yeah.
But after a while, I was like, oh, it's really good that happened. I thought it was really bad at the time.
Right.
And it turned everything into a positive.
Wow.
Yeah. So it really depends.
I know, but I don't know. Do you ever think about your mother in terms of planes and do you think of her as a soul waiting for you?
You know what? I feel like, I'm very on the fence about all of it. I'm the kind of person that needs to see it.
Well, you have seen it with Casey.
Yeah, but I need to see it in relation to me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
you went to that psychic recently. And you said that
I did, and I really liked her. But then you went, and it didn't turn out well. So it made me doubt the whole thing.
No. You don't do that, because your experience is yours and mine is mine. And maybe she was having a off day with me. I don't know.
My reading was great.
Right. So you got a lot of relief from that. So you feel like. Didn't you feel like there was something more and you were in contact?
I did, but there's the part. I'm always a very black and white person. Like it's either there or it's not there.
Okay.
So there's still a part of me that's like, that's still not proof to me.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be black and white because, like, is life really black and white? It's gray. I know you.
Oh, I know that.
Well,
Realistic, like,
yeah.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but I'm so not like that.
Well, maybe try to evolve a little bit. You told me all these great things. Like, you felt really good about it. Now, I went there and I didn't tell her that Casey died. I didn't say anything, and she guessed it. Like, it took her a very long time because I was just not giving her anything, and she finally did guess it. But I was like, please, she ran out of things to guess. But
with me, I didn't say anything either. She just was on the money.
Maybe somehow, maybe I closed off myself to her. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But I mean, I do. Look, I know psychics exist. I told you I have several. But she, I'm not going to say she has no psychic. I think it worked for you. It was genuine. That's why I went to her. But somehow I didn't click with her. It doesn't. I definitely believe in all that stuff. I'm very open to it. But some people just. Like, she's not a fraud. She definitely had the ability, but so for you it worked, and I want you to don't make me be the reason you doubt it. I mean that was great what she did for you.
I know. It's my personality. That's just the way I am.
Yeah, but you've seen Casey communicate. Okay, so you think it's only Casey and not other people? It can't. That's either all or nothing. Okay, they're either all there or nobody's there.
There's just a part of me that always doubts it.
Is that just, what's the reason for that? Is it because you're afraid?
Because I doubt most things. I need to see it, like it needs to be in front of me. It needs to be like a physical thing in front of me before I believe it.
Huh. Oh. Yeah, see, I think because being a writer really makes me not that way, because what I write comes out of nothing. You know what I mean? So like, it's not there until I'm the one that makes it there. So I think that's where I'm different. Like I do believe in that stuff because I conjure things all the time. Like they come to, and where do my inspirations come? They come from somewhere, but they're there, right? And then I put them on the paper. So I'm the one putting the thing in concrete. So
yeah, I'm not saying I don't believe it at all.
Yeah. No, I know that you're not saying that. No. I think you're just like unwilling to take that leap of faith, because it is a leap of faith.
Oh yeah. No, I don't have faith in anything. It's just not my thing. I don't think it's sad.
Okay. All right. I mean,
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, you are. You're laughing.
Yeah. It doesn't bother me.
Okay. I have to have faith in things. Because otherwise I don't think I could exist.
It doesn't
That's
bother
why
me
I
not
almost
to.
killed, like, it was my grief, and it was also like losing complete faith in anything. I just didn't want to go on. It was awful. It was, and
I learned very early, and that's probably why I'm like that. But from a very early age, I learned that that's just bullshit to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Was it because of your mother?
No, it was when I was little.
Really?
I've always been like that.
You just decided this is the way it works? That was just in your belief system from when you were young?
Yeah. And like I said, I'm also, I don't do the gray area thing. I'm not good at that. I feel like something's right or something's wrong. I don't see why there has to be an in-between.
And I'm all about the in-between. That's so funny. That's what I write about. I write about the in-between.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm like, I think things are very cut and dry.
Oh, I don't think anything's cut and dry. It's funny that you say that. It's interesting. But I, in a way, would like to be more like you. I think it would be easier, but it's a lot when all this stuff is always floating around. But I wouldn't be a writer if I was more cut and dry anyway. So I guess, look, I am what I am.
Me too. We're Popeye.
Can I get a hamburger tomorrow or something? What is it?
That's wimpy. I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Yes. Tuesday, okay.
Yes, it's always Tuesday.
Interesting. I don't know. I guess that's the way it is. We are. One thing about age, you really start to accept who you are. You can't fight it anymore. It's so much easier to just fall into yourself and just accept yourself.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, at this age, I don't give a fuck who isn't. I don't care.
I agree.
Doesn't matter to me. Like, you can have your opinion. It's not mine, and I couldn't care less.
Yeah. No, actually that night when I took the kids into the city right before Halloween, I bought a sign, those tin signs, those old-fashioned signs. Yeah. And what did it say? Oh my God, I can't remember what it says. It's in, I put it back up when I moved back home. The older I get, the more. What's this? You see it?
I've seen it, and I don't remember. I know the sign you're talking about.
But it's basically like, I don't care what anybody says, but it's fun. It's funny. I'm going to have to look that one up. I mean, I go home and look at what it is. But I just don't care anymore about what other people think, and it's very freeing. I have a pillow that says, the older I get, the more I think I shouldn't say that, but well, let's see what happens.
I know. And I also have one more thing to say, and it's not going to be nice because...
To me?
No, not you. Just in general.
Yeah.
Like, I understand people have other opinions, but sometimes I think they're fucking stupid, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, you're allowed to think what you want, but sometimes I'm like, where did you get that?
People that say something, and then when you ask them, you question them about it, and they have no idea about it whatsoever. No. Like, what is wrong with you? Are you a robot? Have you just been programmed? That's what I don't understand.
Because people will hear something and they'll take it as the gospel. Like, that's it.
This is the problem. And it always was bad. Like, even before the internet, it could spread, but it was much more limited.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like playing the game telephone. This is why I always tell the kids why they need primary sources when they research history. Because I could whisper something in your ear, and then it goes down, 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 down. It's a completely different thing when it gets to the end. Well, that's what people hear these stories, and God knows what they even heard. It might not even have been that to begin with, but it gets spread. And it's just everything's, but they just accept it. And then when it's on the internet, explosively all over everywhere. And all of a sudden, everybody thinks it's a fact. They just accept it. How do you accept something without thinking about it? I would never accept on face value anything anyone says. I want to hear the details. I want to hear the quotes from the people. I want to know exactly the context. Everybody's missing the freaking context. Yes. And when they purposely edit, they take tapes of what people say, and then they leave out things. Yes. Like, what are you doing? Like, why not just tell the truth?
I don't know.
And the people just blindly believe these things. I don't.
That's my first question is, where did you hear that?
Exactly.
Where did you read that?
Although I will say that my mother-in-law told me that they banned the masks. And I said, that's ridiculous. Where did you hear that? And she said something like on the internet. I'm like, oh, stop it. And it turned out to be true.
I know, because we had a conversation after that, and I'm like, yeah, that is true.
Like, how could it be true? Been a while, more than ever, people are wearing masks. I think that they
Oh, nobody cares about that law.
No, they're mad about it. I think they put on masks to...
Oh, yeah.
It was very strange. But, yeah. Oh, a lot of people are wearing masks.
A lot now.
Because we were in the mall, she's like, oh, those people can get arrested. I'm like, what?
No. I mean, well, there's like an uptick in COVID, isn't there?
I don't know. But I get every shot, so that's all I know. I want to make sure that I don't, because I did get it, as you know. And I had it bad enough that I think that if I didn't have the vaccine, I would have been at least on a ventilator, if not dead. Yeah, because it hit me pretty hard.
Some people are like that. I said, I've never had it.
I know, it's amazing. But you might just have some immunity. You were with me, like we didn't know I had COVID.
I hugged you.
Yeah.
So I've been in very close contact with many people that have had COVID, and I've never had it.
Yeah. So you're just lucky. And if you ever got it, you had the shots anyway. Look, I'm not a big vaccination person. I believe in questioning them. I used to go on the, I forget the name of it, National Vaccine Information Center, okay, and took the religious exemption, which they now got rid of in New York State for my kids, because I breastfed them, and that gives more immunities than anything else. And a lot of these things have a lot of questions A lot of these vaccines have a lot of questionable things, okay? But the funny thing was, the COVID vaccine is not a live vaccine. It cannot give you COVID. And I never said I was against vaccines when they're needed, and boy, were they needed for COVID. So it's just funny that people decided to draw that line. They'll shoot their kids with anything without thinking about it. The COVID vaccine was bad. So I don't understand. Look, listen to the facts and think about it. So if you're talking about that kind of stuff, I absolutely agree with you. Anybody that cannot then support what they said with valid facts and doesn't even want to entertain it and listen and have a conversation, I guess you would call them stupid. Not just stupid, but stupid. Okay. A quote by Emily Dickinson. Unable are the loved to die, for love is immortality. Oh. That's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And then this one is by Helen Keller, who was really, she had a lot of great things to say, really brilliant and well-written, beautiful stuff. I advise you to go look for Helen Keller's quotes. And also Emily Dickinson was quite a beautiful poet who, by the way, did not get published in her lifetime.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she didn't even try. She just sat in her room and wrote poems. So Helen Keller, and this, I have it on a necklace engraved behind a picture of my sons and me together. What we once enjoyed and deeply loved, we can never lose. For all that we love deeply becomes a part of us. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
And then I have a quote from T.S. Eliot. I just have a little sidetrack. T.S. Eliot wrote Cats, right? And that show I really didn't like. So stupid, right?
I never had the urge to see that show.
The one part, Casey was either not born yet or not old enough to come, and Michael was definitely very little. He liked all the cats jumping around. I don't think he had any idea what was going on. And he liked in the middle, the big cat slept on the stage, and the kids were allowed to go up to it and stuff.
Oh, really?
That was cute. So but the show was stupid as hell. Like I had no idea what was going on. And I remember Artie Lang used to be on Howard Stern, and he was telling a story about what his uncle said when he went to see Cats, and he said, "This is about cats." And Artie goes, "It's called Cats."
Yeah, what would you think it's about?
Well, the uncle said, "Dog Day Afternoon ain't about no dogs."
That's funny.
Okay, this is more about what I was talking about us being the light and all this stuff. T.S. Eliot wrote, "So the darkness shall be the light, and the stillness the dancing."
Oh,
isn't that beautiful? Too. And there's one more little thing from him too. What we call the beginning is often the end, and to make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from. Now, I used to have the end is where we start from on my refrigerator as a magnet, because I do write like that. Actually, I always think about the end. But in life, this is what we've been talking about with the Everything Everywhere All at Once and the souls and coming back and all that stuff. It's something to think about. I definitely believe it's what's keeping me going.
Yes. My quote is not uplifting. It never is.
I think your quotes are very good. I always find something uplifting about them.
This is my quote for this episode.
Death to everyone.
It's by George Carlin.
I like him.
And it's, "May the forces of evil become confused on the way to your house."
Oh, I like that. I think that's a very good thing to think about. Yeah. And if they're stupid enough, they will be.
Yes. And on that note,
there's a fine line between stupidity and evil.
Yes.
That's my quote for me. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for listening. Please join us again on the Facebook and the Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for your support. It's amazing. We're really honored that you listen. And on that note, I will say, this apparently is my new ending. Arrivederci.
And good day.